breathing is the activity which takes place throughout the life. It takes place spontaneously without making conscious efforts. We breathe about 20,000 times in a day. Breathing is a part of respiration which is performed by respiratory system. The human respiratory system mainly consists of nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, and the lungs. The external part of the nose bears two nostrils separated by a cartilaginous septum. The nostrils bring air into a pair of nasal chambers inside the nose, where air is filtered, warmed, and moistened. The tiny hair present inside the nostrils protects the nasal passage and filters out the dust and other particles that enter the nose along with the air. Air can also be inhaled through the mouth. The two air passages, which are nose and mouth, meet at the pharynx, which is located at the back of the throat. Pharynx is a white cavity and carries both food and air, hence is involved in both digestion and respiration. Esophagus is a tube which opens into the stomach, and the tube located dorsally to esophagus is called trachea, which extends into the lungs. A small flap of tissue called epiglottis covers the trachea when we swallow. It stops food and liquid from entering inside the air passage or trachea. The larynx or the voice box is a hollow cartilaginous structure located below the pharynx. The larynx is popularly called as Adam's apple, and when we swallow something, this part shows rise and fall. It contains two ligamentous folds called vocal cords, which help in production of sound. The trachea or windpipe emerges from the larynx. The walls of trachea consist of stiff C-shaped cartilage rings. These rings provide flexibility and keep the trachea distended permanently. The lumen of trachea is lined with tiny cilia. These cilia sweep foreign particles through and keep fluids out of the airway so that these particles do not enter the lungs. The trachea divides into two branches called the bronchi, and each of these enter one of the two lungs. The lungs occupy the major part of the thoracic cavity and are present one each on either sides of the heart. The rib cage surrounds and protects the lungs. A dome-shaped diaphragm is located below the lungs that contracts rhythmically during inhalation and exhalation. The right lung has three lobes: superior lobe, middle lobe, and inferior lobe. While the left lung has two lobes, superior and inferior lobes. The left lung is slightly smaller and has cardiac notch to accommodate the heart in between. Each lung is covered by two membranes: the visceral pleura on the inner side and the parietal pleura on the outer side. A watery pleural fluid is present in the pleural cavity found between the two membranes. This arrangement provides lubrication during the expansion and contraction of lungs. The lungs are a pair of spongy and elastic organs formed of alveoli, bronchioles, and blood vessels. Each bronchus, on entering the lung, divides into smaller, finer branches called bronchioles. The bronchioles ultimately terminate into a cluster of tiny air sacs called alveoli. Bronchioles carry the fresh air to the alveoli. They are surrounded by tiny blood vessels or capillaries. Enormous surface area, blood supply, and moist surface of alveoli facilitate the gaseous exchange. The oxygen passes through the alveoli and travels through the capillary walls into the bloodstream. At the same time, carbon dioxide diffuses from the bloodstream into the air sacs, where it is exhaled out of the body. When we exercise, the body needs more oxygen to feed the muscles as they work harder. The body responds by breathing rapidly and deeply. We can see how our respiratory system helps the body to move about and how it is influenced by the ongoing regular physical activities.